A very good morning and good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whatever place it is you're tuned on to the Life Signatures Radio. It's another opportunity, another day for us to do this on this daily show where I talk about purpose, productivity, and resilience. Three main topics in life that affects every human being: red, yellow, white, black, whatever it is. And these things, if one of them is off, then your life might be off. That's why we do this on a daily basis, talking about this. We're in the middle of a series. We're talking about self-deficiency. We just concluded talking about the four places where self-deficiency is bred, where it grows, where it comes from, where it's given an opportunity to grow. And now from today, I want us to talk about how we can start dealing with self-deficiency. We've talked about it's our identity, our capacity, our purpose, and our contribution. And now, how can we reverse, or how can we harness ourselves so that we can overcome self-deficiency? Remember, it's a lifetime thing. It's not something you graduate from. So stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So even as we continue talking about this, we need to understand that self-deficiency is brought about by what we are exposed to, by what we experience, by the environment around us, and what we hear from people in authority speak over our lives. Those combinations, sometimes they work at once, and sometimes just one at a time. You can live in a very nice environment, but what your father keeps telling you is you're useless, you're just like your mother, and all that stuff, and it affects you and you become self-deficient. Or you could be in a situation where you are living in a very bad environment, even when people are saying words of affirmation and so on and so forth. I know I've grown up in slums sometime back. I lived in a place in Nairobi, which is it's a slum area actually, and you you cannot tell your friends at college, this is where I come from. It brings about self-deficiency. But we need to arm ourselves internally with some power, some growth, some capacity, so much so that we are not affected. Listen to this. We are not affected by what we're exposed to. We're not affected by our experiences. We're not affected by the environment around us, and we're not affected by what people say. This is something that we bring to ourselves. This is a capacity that we bring to ourselves so that we become immune to these things. These things will always be there. People will always say things. Environments around us can be bad. We're going to experience things that will eat away on our self-sufficiency. And we're going to be exposed to things that will eat away on our self-sufficiency one way or another. But we need to arm ourselves so much so that even if it enters us, even if this stimulus enter us, they do not breed self-deficiency. We have armed ourselves, or we keep arming ourselves to such a degree, at such an extent, that we are good no matter what happens. So it follows that the most obvious thing to do in order to overturn self-deficiency, if anything, is to rewrite our own scripts. in these 4 things that we've talked about, we got to rewrite our own scripts. The rules that were written about life by the 4 pillars we talked about. We need to rewrite the scripts so that we can remain self-sufficient. The first thing I'm going to talk about today, it is about reclaiming our identity. Reclaiming our identity. This is one major pillar in our lives. Self-identity. It's something that affects nearly all of us. If you are raised in an environment that is messed up, chances are that your identity is going to be affected. You have an uphill task to reboot yourself, to restart yourself, to create new scripts for your life. And there are very many examples of people who did this. Joyce Meyer was abused by her father. Imagine your father abusing you sexually over a long period of time. Imagine what it's going to do to you, my goodness, in terms of your self-sufficiency. Oprah Winfrey, we are told, was raped at an early age, messed up life. Albert Einstein, we are told that he was declared uneducable, mentally uneducable. Walt Disney was declared void of ideas. See, all these things are externals that are coming into the lives of people, and they're messing up their self-sufficiency and making them to be self-deficient. And by the way, you will not blame them for this. You cannot blame Joyce Meyer for feeling self-deficient. It happened to her. You cannot blame Oprah Winfrey. You cannot blame all these guys. And you know very many people around you today, and some of them are even yourselves listening to this. You heard words that hurt you, or maybe you just heard a word that hurt you. You keep hearing words that hurt you from your husband, from your wife, from your father, from your parents, from your boss. Maybe daily. Maybe the latest you heard was yesterday. We can't blame you. But imagine if these people will let that CD, that script, continue playing forever in their minds, in their psyches. Imagine what will happen. We wouldn't be having the blessings that we are having from Joyce Meyer. We wouldn't be having the blessings that we're having from Oprah Winfrey, or from Albert Einstein, or from Walt Disney, if they let these scripts play in their self-sufficiency and make them to be self-deficient. We wouldn't even know about them. We wouldn't know they existed. We wouldn't be having them today. We have to stop that script from playing. Whatever happens to us, we have to stop it from continuing to affect us. We have the power. It is not easy. It is not funny. It is not fun. But it is detrimental to keep the script playing. I know we want those perpetrators to be brought to book. I know we want those parents to be locked up. I know we want those bosses to be, what do they call, interdicted or whatever it is, and they lose their jobs and we get better bosses. I know we want to get better husbands and we want to get better wives. But it is our responsibility to make sure that the script that is playing in our psyche is not a script that causes us to be self-deficient. So we've got to start believing something else. At the very place where you're told you're stupid, believe the opposite. You are indeed not stupid. Yes, you are awesome. What we ought to do is to know that we are not what we were told. We are not what we were told we are or we were, especially if it is in the negative and it's coming from someone in authority. What we experience does not cement who we really are. It's an experience, fleeting, it's going to go. If we can defy these experiences and these words and choose to believe that we are awesome, then we have been putting ourselves on the right track. And we've got to do this. And that's why I've got to go back and talk about affirmations. People talk about affirmations, and I know some people have been fighting that movement of affirmations and saying it doesn't work, and so on. But okay, let me just replace this and say, how about we meditate instead of affirming? Meditate. Close your eyes and think of how great you are. How awesome you are, that God would allow you to be alive, that God would think about you. There's a scripture that says God's mind is full of you, full of me. Who is man that God is mindful? And he's made us a little lower than the heavenly beings, a little lower than the angels. Right? When we consider the heavens and the earth and all the things that are moving and the galaxies, God's mind is not on the galaxies. He put laws to govern them, principles to govern them, and they're governing themselves. He's never going to interfere with them, but his mind is on me and on you. We've got to start meditating in that way. Yeah, I know my husband said this, I know my wife said this, I know my father said this, but that is not what God is saying. That is not what is in God's mind. I am awesome. As long as I am breathing, I am not useless. As long as I am alive, as long as I'm in this place, I can rise up. Despite all the bricks that you throw at me, I'm going to create a storied building. The sticks that you throw at me, I'm going to use them to climb a ladder. So we are responsible in erasing and scratching that CD and erasing that script from playing. It cannot continue to play. We need to believe we are awesome. And we need to go a step ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and install a different script in our lives. That's where the meditation comes in. That's where the affirmations come in. That's where reading the good things come in. That's where being in the presence of people who affirm you comes in. That's why you need to move. Some of you are in friends just because you want to be accepted. You are in friendships where you are being bashed for how your feet look like, how your head looks like, the shape of your head. And you accept these stupid bashings so that you can belong to the group. It is time to fire all those fake friends. And it is time to look for people who can affirm you and install a different script, because you cannot, at the price of being self-deficient, you cannot accept to be in a group. It is important to have the self-talk that I've been talking about. It's important to have it. It is important to talk differently about yourself. If you can deliver the greatest speech ever, that speech should be with the audience of one. That speech should be you as the audience, you as the speaker, speaking positive things, preaching yourself a revival, saying, Lawrence, you're a great man. You are a wise man. You are destined for great things. You are able to scale things. You're able to create things. You're able to bring things. You are a blessing in this world. You are needed in this world. You've been protected all these years for the sake of you deploying your potential and deploying your blessing in this world. Therefore, you are needed. Therefore, God is backing you up. Therefore, the universe is backing you up. Therefore, you have all the strength that you need. Therefore, you have all the backing, all the positives. All things are aligned to you. And if things are coming up in the negative, you have the power to overcome them. You have the power to run through a wall, to run through a troop. You have the power to overcome them by your words, by your gifting, by your talents, by your consistency, by your life, by God and by his angels. You are able to overcome. This is self-talk. This is a self-talk. You give yourself a 5-minute self-talk every single day. Make it as vibrant as possible. Make it like a preacher, like T.D. Jakes preaching. You're preaching to yourself. Deliver this greatest speech ever, over and over again in the mirror. And you're well on your way to overturning this spirit of self-deficiency. In the succeeding episodes, we're going to continue talking about this. We're going to talk about the subject matter further. But I can summarize for you. I can tell you this. The first thing we talked about is to reclaim your identity. Tomorrow we're going to talk about building your capacity, and then reconnecting with your purpose, and then you start contributing, and so on and so forth. We're going to talk about all those things, and they're smack in the middle of you and I becoming self-sufficient. It is our responsibility, nobody else's. Until tomorrow, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.